Welcome back, everybody. We are now moving into week 2 of the NFL season after a strong week 1 that we had. Really excited to jump back into it. My name is Scotty, again, back with some stacks that I really like. But before we do that, let's check out our Thursday night game, as always, that we're going to have tomorrow night between the Giants and the Washington football team. Still cannot believe that that is their team name, but it looks like we might even stick with that for this season. So this is an interesting game where I actually think I like the defense as a potential captain spot for the Washington football team. I don't really trust anybody on the Giants. I don't know. We didn't see Barkley do too much on Sunday. I think he's still a trap, and we're only moving over to Thursday. I don't know how much different that's going to make this feel for me. Antonio Gibson and Terry McLaurin, even a little bit of Logan Thomas, are the only players who I trust on the offensive side. I don't trust Daniel Jones. I mean, I guess he has rushing upside, but I think the Washington football team defensive line should have its way there. So kind of, again, another weird matchup. I know we didn't necessarily love the Cowboys and, and Bucks matchup last week. Again, kind of similar thing for Thursday night. But obviously, football is football. If you want to get some kind of looks or some money on the game, maybe going over to Prize Picks might be the move there. This is Roto Grinders that we have today. If you guys weren't here last week, we used Roto Grinders. It's awesome because it has the over under. It has the applied point total based on the lines. It also gives some weather updates, and so it's really a great site to see. It also has all of the DraftKings prices here for you. So really love this website. Great resource but when you're doing some of your prep. Totally free, 100% free to use this. You go to NFL and then you go over to starting lineups to see all of this information. So we're going to move into some matchups, some stacks that I like moving into this week. First one that I really like is going to be down here. Most of them are going to be coming at the 4 o'clock game. So I really do, going back to the Cardinals. Kyler Murray getting a little bit of a price increase. We're projected to have 28 points scored for the Arizona Cardinals this week. We saw what the Bengals were able to do against it. I think the Cardinals are much better offense. Really like Kyler Murray. Really like when you throw DeAndre Hopkins in there. Christian Kirk's getting a little bit of a bump. Rondo Moore's moving up. I think he could have had a bigger game if you watched it than what he had last week. But I really think that there's going to be some strong play for Rondo Moore there. But again, if you go Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins, we saw that last week. We tried to get cute with it by going with Rondo Moore instead of either Christian Kirk or DeAndre Hopkins. Maybe just putting Hopkins and Murray in there, and you'll be fine. Christian Kirk, though, did look really strong. However, he did have 2 touchdowns, which really elevated his score. Not necessarily going to bank on that. On the Vikings side, not sure if I necessarily love a lot of the stack there. Maybe we do a Kirk Cousins with Justin Jefferson and then bring it back with somebody like Kirk. Maybe that's where we have Kirk or Rondale Moore. I'm really going to stay away from AJ Green. KJ Osborne wasn't even terrible. Thielen had a pretty strong game. He's on pace for 34 touchdowns this year. Obviously not going to happen. Not going to get 2 touchdowns a game. But again, really Kirk Cousins and Justin Jefferson, maybe bringing it back with Rondale Moore is a stack potential that I like there. Another game that I like as far as the stack side is this game. I believe it's up here. I could be wrong. Nope, down here. It's between the Cowboys and the Chargers right here. And I really like the Chargers side of it. I think Herbert is great. I like Eckler. I like Williams. I like Allen. Really a lot of options that you have here with the stack. Even Jared Cook got in a little bit of the action last week when they were going against the Washington football team. I think they're going against a much easier defense in the Cowboys compared to the Washington football team. I think we saw Herbert throw it an ungodly amount. I think he's going to continue to do that again. And so any kind of pass catcher here, whether it's Mike Williams or Keenan Allen, I love that. And then also the thing that's nice about it is you have the ability to run it back with either an Amari Cooper or a CeeDee Lamb. I sneaky love Cedric Wilson in this slate now that Michael Gallup is going to be out of the lineup. He's a guy that Cowboys kind of have always loved, and you've seen him pop up here and there, but never really been able to break the lineup consistently. And so if we have Cedric Wilson in there, when you pair him up with a guy that's like Herbert and Mike Williams, you have a pretty solid stack there. And that's also going to be pretty cheap. We have a 55 point implied point total. Should be a close game. Both teams should be running the ball passing the ball pretty effectively. Dak played great last week. Again, you can put him in there. Line that up with maybe a CeeDee Lamb and then bring it back with Mike Williams or even Eckler on the other side. You could even throw Jared Cook in there if you want a cheaper option. So I think you have a lot of options, a lot of great plays there. Weather's supposed to be beautiful there. 4 o'clock game, love it. So that's another 2 stacks there that I like. Final stacks that I like, I believe it's down here, is between the Titans and the Seahawks. We are supposed to get bad weather, so we might want to stay away from this game if that weather predicts the same way. This is only Wednesday, so we'll see how the weather changes there. But I really like the Seahawks side of things. I don't like the Tennessee Titans side of things because we kind of fell for that trap last week. But if we have Russell Wilson and we throw together Tyler Lockett or DK Metcalf, I don't think we do both in a GPP kind of format. But if you pick one of them and you pick right, I think I'm going Metcalf this week. Tyler Lockett very rarely has 2 strong weeks in a row. If you go Russell Wilson with Metcalf, you have the ability to bring it back if you want with AJ Brown or Julio Jones. I don't think we necessarily have to go there. I think this may be a smaller stack, but you also have Gerald Everett here. I sneaky loved him coming into the season. Came up with two catches for 20 yards and a touchdown. I think he can get even more usage this week. We just saw what the Titans gave up against the Cardinals, so I think there is a lot of opportunity here for the Seahawks to have another big game. Russell Wilson always seems to be the first half MVP of the year before he falls off the face of the earth. And so we're still in the first half of the season, so I think Russell Wilson will be good. And I think he's definitely a very viable option. He's going to be coming in as less expensive as Kyler Murray. I think a lot of people are going to be moving towards Murray after what he did last week. And so I think this is kind of a cheaper option for you if you want to go with Russell Wilson and Metcalf. There isn't that cheaper play that you can kind of pair him with, as you have the Rondale Moores, and you have you have the Rondale Moores there, the Christian Kirks, or even the KJ Osborne. So you don't have that necessarily in the Titans Seahawks game, but I don't think you necessarily need that to go full hard stack there. Finally, we're going to look at 2 trap games that I want to stay away from. The first game is going to be the Falcons and the Bucks. Again, we're going to see some rough weather. Again, just don't necessarily want to predict everything off of that. But man, did Matt Ryan look really bad. The offensive line looked terrible. I think a lot of people might be thinking, oh, this would probably be a shootout. Tampa Bay is going to be up early. And then you'll just have the Falcons kind of throwing the ball over and over and over again. I don't think that's going to be the case because they were down against the Cardinals and they were still trying to run the ball. So maybe I like Mike Davis here in this lineup, but I don't think we're going to want to stack up the Falcons with a bounce back game, especially against a tough team like Tampa Bay. And I don't know if I love Tampa Bay either because of how split the targets can go between Evans, Brown, and Godwin. And then even Gronk kind of coming in there and stealing some touchdowns. It's just a tough matchup where, if they're going to be up early and they can kind of run the ball more and more. There was some confidence put back into Ronald Jones saying that he's going to be starting, but again, we're splitting that as well. So I think we stay away from this game as a whole. And then finally, the last game that we're going to stay away from is this game coming up, the 49ers and the Eagles. Justin Hurts is my fantasy quarterback. Love him. Think he's a great play week in and week out. 49ers, though, it's a tough spot. They gave up a lot of points to the Lions, which was surprising that they kind of took their foot off the gas there. But I don't think that's going to be the case this week. I think what we're going to see is a more complete game for the 49ers where they don't necessarily let the Eagles stay in it. And then we have just the Eagles' defense necessarily isn't as good, but I don't think, Deebo Samuel had an ungodly game last week, of 200 yards. That was a lot. I don't think we're going to see that again. Maybe we do a George Kittle going against the Eagles, but again, I don't think it's something you stack. I don't think you're starting Jimmy Garoppolo as your starting quarterback up against the Eagles. Even though the defense isn't necessarily great, and you have a 26.75 implied point total, I think that's going to be a little bit higher than where it might end up. And even if it is there, then I think what you could see is something that we saw last week with the 49ers, where you had all the touchdowns kind of spread out between Elijah Mitchell, JaMychal Hasty. I know we're not going to have any Raheem Mostert, but then maybe you get some Trey Sermon in there where it's kind of all spread out. You don't necessarily get it in one guy, but you're still having to kind of pick and play where you want to go, and you're not going to want to create a lineup with both Elijah Mitchell and JaMychal Hasty, hoping that you get some touchdowns there. So it's just kind of an awkward position to be. It's a stack that I'm not really loving. And then on the Eagles side, I think that the offensive line has looked better, or at least in week 1 they did, but that was against the Falcons. We don't know necessarily how good that is. And I think I'm still trying to decide whether or not Jalen Hurts is going to be the great quarterback that we seem to be, and if Devontae Smith is going to be a strong wide receiver, because again, going up against the Falcons, we don't really know how much we can extrapolate from that game. So those are the plays there. Some of the stacks I like. I think when it's all said and done, the main one that I'm going to kind of be leading on is this Chargers Cowboys game. I think I love it for the most opportunities that you have there, especially with the Cedric Wilson. If we go Herbert, Mike Williams, and Cedric Wilson, I think that's a really strong stack that you start. And then, heck, you could even get Jared Cook or Dalton Schultz in there and have a pretty good lineup. So that's kind of the main stack that I like there. Again, try and probably stay away from this Falcons-Buccaneers game just because I don't necessarily love the game script, and I don't think the Falcons are going to be very good. But we'll see. And so those are the stacks that I like this week. Please let me know if you have any other thoughts or ideas on anything. And then also, we talked about at the beginning of the video, the Giants and Washington football team. Maybe you put a defense in your captain spot and you see how that goes. So that's it for me. Please feel free to like, comment, subscribe, do whatever you want. Let me know if you guys have any suggestions, anything more you want to see out of these stack shows. I'd be more than happy to implement that next week when we come back for week 3. But this is week 2. We'll have some more content coming up later this week. We'll get some prize picks actions going on there because we had a pretty strong week last week with the Mahomes promo. So we'll get some more content up for that. So excited about that, what we have coming up this week. And that's it for this one.